Hello, everyone. My name is Archana Samtani Singhania, and I'm a business advisor at WeBC. I am grateful to be living, working, and playing in the unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. I will invite you to write in the chat on whose traditional territories that you are from. Netta will put a link there to help you. We'd love to hear from you if there's any other topic that you would like us to consider for future webinars. Please tell us the topic during the feedback poll at the end of the session, and we will try and incorporate them in the future. So what we offer, we provide support for your small business journey. We offer financing to get businesses started and operating capital to fuel growth. We offer more flexibility than any traditional lenders because we take a holistic approach. That means we provide loans to a diverse range of women-owned businesses and support you with integrated services, including complementary training, mentoring, business advising. We offer business skill development and personalized business advice. We know to ask the right questions and connect you with the right resources. In our mentoring programs, you can connect with a network of women, entrepreneurs, and experts around BC who can support and inspire you. I highly recommend you visit our website, we-bc.ca, and sign up for our e-blasts. You will get our e-blasts regularly, and you will be informed about all the sessions that we have. Today we'll be talking about exporting for businesses in the service industry. Exporting your services even to a province next door is a great growth strategy, but daunting. We are hosting, well, I don't know if Aaron has joined us on call. We were hosting 3 export service providers and an experienced exporter to share with you their knowledge and experience. I'm delighted to introduce Aaron Kim from the Trade Commissioner Services, Global Affairs Canada, Chelsea Sang, Regional Manager, Export Navigator, Fatima Rashid, Program Specialist, World Trade Center, Vancouver, Greater Vancouver Board of Trade, and Renee Safrada, CEO of Viva Team. I'm just going to stop sharing the screen so that I can see all my panelists a little bit more easily, and we can get started quickly with, can I ask everyone to introduce themselves briefly, take a 30-second time period to introduce yourself. Renee, can I start with you?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to be here today. I'm Renee Safrada, CEO and founder of Vivo Team. I'm somewhat of a serial entrepreneur. This is my 5th venture. I've been both a solopreneur and an entrepreneur. And what we're doing at Vivo Team is we're really creating, educating, and entertaining online programs for leaders and teams. We've been doing this for, it will be 10 years, November 8th. So we're leading up to our 10th year anniversary. We're excited about that. And what we're doing is we're doing everything virtually. And I think that will be important for today's panel. So we're offering full spectrum learning experience that develops competence, motivation, and collaboration factors within the system of the leaders and the teams. And we're providing behavioral analytics, which helps organizations understand a measure of their talent. That's me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Renee. Thank you for joining us. Fatima, you next.
Thanks, Archana, and thanks for having us. Good morning, everyone. My name is Fatima Rashid, and I'm the program specialist with the World Trade Center Vancouver here at the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade, and I am focused on spearheading our Trade Accelerator program for BC.
Thank you so much, Fatima, for your time. Chelsea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chelsea. I'm the regional manager for Export Navigator. Export Navigator is a program administered through Small Business BC. It's also funded through the province, and the federal government. And what we do is we help small businesses around the province export wherever they are in their journey.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Aaron.
Hi, my name is Aaron. I'm a trade commissioner who works out of our Vancouver office. I'm sorry if my name tag is not correct right now. I've been having some technical issues. So if anyone from the tech side can maybe change that, that'll be super great. But so I work with my colleagues at our embassies, high commissions, consulates, and trade offices in over 160 cities to essentially help Canadian companies find business opportunities overseas. I'm also our office's champion of business women in trade. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much, all of you all, for being here. So let's get started with you, Renee. What motivated you to export?
I think what motivated me to export was really based in our research. So as I mentioned, we're 10 years old, but 12 years ago, we decided to take 2 years to research what learning and development would look like for leaders and teams, and most importantly, what the workplace of 2020 would look like. And we were taking a scientifically wild-ass guess, so that's what we call a swag. Casting our vision out 10 years. And one of the things that we recognized was that leaders and teams would be at this time completing projects in multiple areas around the globe. And so we knew that going virtual as a learning and development core offering would be really, really important, using technology to make sure that teams and leaders were training and developing together, no matter where they were, no matter what time zones they were in. And so having conversations with trade commissioners at conferences, that part of our research really started to open my eyes into what's the wider audience for our product and what's the wider market for our product. And I can tell you, it wasn't the first conversation that motivated me to export. I had to hear it often. I had to get out of my barrier of myself that I could export to a wider market. So that's where it really all started for me. And I think that, you know, what we have seen in our business is pre-COVID, we were working in 4 countries. What I mean by that, to be clear, is our learners were in 4 countries. And as soon as the lockdown hits, 4 of our customers took us into 19 countries. It doesn't mean we have offices in 19 countries. It means that the proof of our research that we did 12 years ago was validated.
That is so interesting. One needs to be deliberate. And so I wanted to pose the next question to you, Aaron. Why should a business be deliberate when it's starting to export?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, well, Canada is, as most of us, we're also in the process of diversifying our export markets. And as a government, we're painfully aware of the importance of helping Canada evolve from being a country that used to just trade raw materials and fossil fuels. There's a lot of support that goes towards supporting businesses to look markets outside North America. So I think this is a great time for you to look into export opportunities. And also, depending on the sector that you belong to, it can sometimes be a no-brainer if the domestic market for your service is limited in size. And when you start looking for growth opportunities, you might find more of those outside Canada. And that happens to be even more the case, especially when your closest neighbor happens to be the largest economy on earth.
So interesting. Chelsea, did you have anything to add to that? That is such an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, exporting, I think, can definitely be rewarding. You know, like everyone has sort of touched on, it can make your business more sustainable, more versatile, and ultimately more successful. But it isn't something that you can necessarily do just off the side of your desk. It does require a deliberate effort. It is an investment that you need to make in terms of your time, financials, and everybody on your team really needs to buy in. So being deliberate about it, I think, is really critical in the success of your export journey.
Farima, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I think some really good points have been made already, but I think overall, we find that exporters do better because, exporting allows you to diversify your revenue streams. It allows you to expand your market reach. And then as you scale your businesses in international markets, it allows you to make those investments and continue to improve your business practices. So you are evolving as a company. So I think generally what Chelsea said as well is that it is something you do have to be deliberate about and put in the effort and put in a strategy in place. It's not something that can be done, but if done well, it's definitely really successful for businesses.
All good points there, all points that I'm making notes of. Renee, I was wondering if you could let us know, were there any hesitations or were there any barriers that you faced, at the start of this journey?
Yeah, I think for me as the leader of the organization, I had my own barrier inside my head that if I was still trying to figure out how to do business in my local market, how would I ever do business outside of my local market? And that was probably a confidence and a competence stress point for me. But again, because I kept having these interactions with trade commissioners or people at conferences who were exporting, and there was lots of research on how the growth of the organization would be expedited if I did get out of my head and have more confidence that that would be good. And then one day I turned around and I realized that because we were virtual and my team is spread across a 4-hour time zone, we're located in Halifax, Toronto, and Vancouver, and all working from our home offices, I thought, well, what's the difference? Like, why not? So we started baby steps in that way. But I think that for a lot of us, we judge ourselves to be too small to do this. We think somebody else can do it, but I can't do it. And so I just encourage any of you, if you are in that place, to think about just one baby step. Be deliberate, but with one baby step, how can you get started? And then all of a sudden you go, isn't that difficult? For us anyway, it hasn't been.
And we have on call 3 organizations that can help us in this journey. So I wanted to ask you, Fatima, when does an organization or a business leader come to you for help during their export journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. So maybe like high level, I can give an introduction. So for those that might be new to the World Trade Center, we essentially act as the international arm of the Board of Trade. So we're working with the local businesses that are looking to expand internationally. And we do that through our various programs. We have our flagship program, which is a Trade Accelerator program, which we actually collaborate with the Trade Commissioners and Export Navigator on. Renee is our alumni. She's a champion of the program. And so in terms of what the program is, it's a 5-day export training program over the course of 6 weeks, where over the first 3 days, what we call our workshop days, you get to hear from our experts in both the public and private sector on kind of everything you need to know about exporting. And we go over each business area. And then the final 2 days of the program are what we call our mentorship days. So essentially you're gaining export knowledge, applying it to your business, creating an export plan, and then getting that vetted by industry professionals. So in terms of when businesses should reach out to us, we work with businesses that are both locally established and are now new to exporting and looking to expand. But we also have worked with many businesses that are actually 5, 6, 10, 15 years into exporting. And as they're growing, they're realizing there's a lot of barriers out there and there's a lot of things that they don't know. And that's when they come to us to support. But high level, I would say we work with businesses that are a little bit established locally and that are now looking to expand internationally.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And Chelsea, if I could pose a question to you. So what is the support that your organization provides, and when does an entrepreneur come to you for help?
Yeah, so Export Navigator provides support to these businesses through our advisors. So we have 10 advisors located around the province. 7 are regional, so they're based in your communities. They understand your regional needs, and they're able to matchmake that with your export strategy. We have 3 advisors that are also dedicated to underrepresented groups. So these are women-owned businesses, Indigenous-owned businesses, and youth-owned businesses. And so what our advisors do is they work very closely with a client on a customized, tailored approach. Clients are able to come to us at any stage. With Export Navigator, we break down the export journey into 4 different stages. The first is stage 1, which is awareness, just really wrapping your mind around the idea of exporting. Would it be a good fit for my company? Stage 2 would be, the planning phase, trying to narrow down which target market you're getting into, developing your export plan and so forth. Stage 3 would be market entry. So getting into your market now, boots on the ground, having client meetings. And then stage 4 is a market development phase. So really taking what you've learned from stage 3 and then applying it to stage 4 to expand into different markets. So clients can come to us at any stage, whether they are at stage 1 and they are just, trying to see if exporting might be a good fit for their company at this stage. We are able to assist them there, or if they're already exporting and they want to move into a different market, our advisors are there to give them the support. We do that by making the right connections for them. We'll introduce them to services like the Trade Commissioner service, or we'll point them into the right direction for some funding programs. And another great thing about our program as well, and support that we offer, is even if you aren't currently exporting, or if you aren't even a client of the program, we do offer free education. So we do host a number of webinars every year, and we do offer several e-courses, and one in particular is on exporting your services, which I think will be useful for many people here today.
Thank you, Chelsea. I think we're going to take that link and circulate it.
For sure.
Aaron, I noted that Renee mentioned that she had so many conversations with trade commissioners. So I was wondering if you could address how does the Trade Commissioner Service, how can the Trade Commissioner Service help an organization that's trying to start their export journey? And at what stage should one approach you?
Yeah, so just to give you a quick overview of what the Trade Commissioner Service does, we're trade people that are situated in the foreign affairs arm of the Canadian government. So we are the embassies. We're like this conflation of embassies, high commissions, trade offices all around the world. And what we do is we tend to work a lot more with people that are on the frontier of business development, and also marketing. And what we essentially do is we facilitate introductions to your potential buyers, your potential partners, and even like your future allies in different markets. And we also offer our own in-house programs to clients that might want to seek out more exposure in new markets they're trying to enter. So that's a very high level overview of what we try to do. And there are special programs that we offer to women entrepreneurs as well. We offer a non-dilutive funding program to women entrepreneurs that can help them de-risk their international business development. And those international business development activities could range from, attending trade shows, attending conferences, and also, seeking out help from market consultants and lawyers with regards to IP protection. So there's a wide array of activities that you want to consider when you want to take your business overseas, and we kind of offer programs that can help you de-risk those activities. We also offer programs that cater to women entrepreneurs in different sectors. So for example, we've had our own in-house programs like Women in Tech, Women in Clean Tech, and also Women in Professional Services. And we form a delegation of women entrepreneurs. They tend to be pretty small, like 8 to 10 delegates. We take them overseas. We take them to different markets that those entrepreneurs might not have much experience of. We brought a delegation of women entrepreneurs to markets like South Korea and Japan to give them exposure, to give them like South Korea one-on-one. Hey, this is what the market looks like. These are the cultural norms that you might want to consider. Like these are the normal business practices in these countries, and also offering some, more targeted market research and stuff like that. So yeah, and those are pretty much. That's not an exhaustive list of what we offer, but I think that gives you a pretty good sense of how we can help.
I did have a couple questions from the audience. The first one is to you, Chelsea. And Ali asks this: how can a small business in the Lower Mainland have a mentor from Export Navigator?
So for the regions, unfortunately, Metro Vancouver and Victoria aren't currently eligible for the program. So it just really depends on where you are based. You can email me at chelsea@exportnavigator.ca, and we can sort of discuss this offline to see where you're based and if we can assist you. But definitely, no matter where you're located, you can still access all of our education, the e-course and the webinars.
Thank you. Ali, all our email addresses will get circulated at the end of the session. So you can get Chelsea's mail ID from there. The next question is from Kerali, I think to Fatima. How do we join the Accelerator program, she asked.
Yeah, so we have an online application. It's on our website at the World Trade Center, or you can just go to tapbc.ca. I think there's going to be some resources circulated and there's more information on that as well. So essentially you send in your online application, and then once we receive that, I'm the one reviewing it. And then I will schedule a meeting with you to further discuss your application, discuss your business, kind of your direction for exporting. And then from there, we look into the next steps into enrollment.
And Fatima, to you as well, Suki asks, is there a cost to this program?
Yeah, so TAP does have a cost. It is a $5,000 program, but because we are federally funded, we do have bursaries available to extend to participating companies. And so WeBC being one of our partners, if you come through WeBC, you do qualify for an automatic bursary. However, if you do fall under any of the underrepresented groups, like if you're an Indigenous business, if you're a women-owned or led business, you would actually qualify for a full bursary. So it would be free of cost for you to join.
Thank you. And Kate asks Aaron a question: how do businesses get involved in your programs?
Yeah, so I can tie that to the question that I didn't really address that came from you, Archana. The ideal profile of the clients that we work with are the ones that already have more than a proof of concept in Canada. So we definitely work more with companies that are already in revenue and that tend to have loyal customers, at least in the domestic market. And if you have ongoing paying clients and their positive testimonials, like all of those are taken into consideration when we work with clients. And there also needs to be a clear need as to why you want to export. How you work with us is our services are free of charge, but we, during our introductory meetings, we do assess your export readiness level. Depending on where you're at in terms of that export readiness level, we might refer you to our partners, such as Export Navigator and TAP as well, that kind of help you really gain more insights into what it takes to export. I think they offer a phenomenal program that walks you through that kind of export 101. So that's, but don't feel afraid to reach out. We're always help to engage and have those introductory calls and point you in the right direction.
So Adam, if I could ask you, what is the most important difference between exporting a product and a service that we should keep in mind?
Yeah, so I guess in the broadest sense, products are something that's tangible, something that you can touch, smell, and services like consultancy and so many other, there's so many forms of services, but those tend to be intangible. And So there are a couple of considerations that entrepreneurs have to consider in the service industry when they're trying to export their product. It's that Canadian entrepreneurs deliver services in English or French. So that's an important consideration when you're choosing target markets, because service is usually embedded in the knowledge and expertise that can share it with clients, usually verbally or in a certain language. And it is very difficult to do that in foreign languages. So language barriers are quite important. So we tend to see a lot of clients that, of course, look to the obvious countries like the States, other Commonwealth countries like Australia and New Zealand. And as a service provider, although this might be hard to stomach, you might not be the first company delivering the type of service that you deliver in your markets of interest. Maybe you might be one of those exceptions where you really have a unique service offering, and kudos to you for that. But services can also easily become commoditized, just like physical products. And when there are many competitors in your markets of interest that offer what you already offer, then it's really crucial that you think about, it's really crucial that you identify who is going to gain most by accessing your service. And targeting is very, very important, because all of your key messages, marketing strategies, and all of those will be built off of that. So in that sense, having a business plan, like an export plan, and doing a lot of market research would be very, very important in the service industry, just like in other sectors. And it is very important that businesses think about how they're going to approach their target markets and what's really their competitive advantage.
So speaking of international markets, Chelsea, I was wondering if we could ask you, how does an exporter go about selecting their ideal international market?
Yeah, the world is a pretty big place. So at Export Navigator, we sort of do them in 2 rounds. We try to narrow down it to 3 to 5 markets first. And by doing that, we ask more generic questions like, which markets have you traveled to recently, maybe? Do you have any friends, family, colleagues in a specific market? Do you or anyone on your team speak a certain language? Have been approached by any contacts in a certain market? And so then from there, once we have our top 3 to 5, we can compare and contrast and sort of do a deeper dive by asking some more detailed questions, What are the cultural, language, time difference barriers there? What is the economic, political landscape like? On the regulatory side, what do we need from Canada? Do we need a specific license to be able to sell our services there? And then on the foreign market side, do we need a specific work visa to be able to travel there, to be able to work there? What FTAs are available? And then, of course, touching on the competitors, who are your domestic competitors? Who are your foreign competitors? Will your value proposition hold up? What is your advantage? Will you be able to compete in price? And so we really, really dive deep into that market research. And then from there, we're able to prioritize and hone in onto one target market. And a great example of this, is our advisor for youth-owned businesses. He had a client who was selling their services, and they were interested in the US. And I think a really key thing to keep in mind is that some markets are bigger than others. So with the US, right, we treat them, each state sort of as different sub-markets, because the market demands in each state are different. The tax and legal liabilities are different. The competition is different. So, by asking the same questions that I sort of just highlighted above, he was able to direct them and narrow it down to Texas. And so, they just opened their first international office in Austin this year, which is really exciting. But yeah, it is a lot of market research for sure when it comes to narrow down those target markets.
Thank you. That's so important. And Fatima, did you have any other points to give us on selecting our international markets?
I think Chelsea pretty much covered everything. But I would say the same thing is, I think just emphasizing how important market research is when it comes to choosing your international markets. And one thing that I always ask when I'm meeting with businesses as they're interested in going through our program is, they'll say, I want to export to a certain market, but it's the why behind it, right? So again, looking at, is there demand? Is there an opportunity for your business in that market? What are your competitors in that foreign market look like? Also, what are your connections in that market? Oftentimes, businesses are, they're considering markets that they actually haven't thought of, but there's opportunities in those markets that came to them because there was a demand for the product or service. So I think just the importance around market research and really assessing kind of everything when it comes to your business and how you're going to do business in that market and how feasible that's going to be.
Renee, so can I ask you, how did you choose your international markets?
Yeah, absolutely. I think these points really speak to this whole idea of being deliberate, and both Chelsea and Fatima have spoken to this idea of research. This requires a lot of research. And it also requires a diligence and tenacity on relationships. So I'd say research and relationships equal being deliberate. I think that, this, as an entrepreneur, this whole network opportunity is extremely varied. It's hard to figure out which piece of the puzzle to use first, second, or third, or in parallel or in concert. And there's a lot of elements to it. So for us at Vivo Team, we participated in, as Erin was mentioning, the Business Women in Trade missions, did a few of those. I was at TAP, did the TAP program, the Trade Accelerator program, which if any of you are on the line and you haven't done that, sign up now. It is the most fantastic opportunity. The reason why it's the most fantastic opportunity, and what we did not realize when we entered into it, was it sounds good. It looks good. There is a cost associated to it. And I was smiling when you were talking about the cost, because I remember talking to my VP of operations and saying, we don't have the money to do this, but the bursary existed. We still didn't have the money at that time to do it, but we stitched it together and we did it. And we were so glad that we did, because TAP has this process to get you from point A to point B. And at the end, the value kick is extreme, because you get a series of mentors looking at your business plan and your thoughts about the research of you exporting into a particular market. And they all give you their greatest candor, their greatest feedback. And for us, we learned things that we didn't even think that we had to think about. For instance, the whole idea of legal, tax, all of these things that you wouldn't think. You're just thinking about your own operations and producing that product and getting it out there. And you're thinking about using your local accountant, lawyer, whatever, but you recognize that you really need to make those deep relationships with others around the world, wherever that is. Trade commissioners help you with that. As well, there's grant opportunities that we didn't know about it. So we have leaned on the CanX grant quite often. And really, it was all of that research, all of those pieces of the puzzle, putting it together and asking people how to put it together, that helped us find our first market. And by the way, I would say that our first market was very based on our capacity. We were at that time very lean team. We had to focus on our own revenue in our local market. We wanted to make that export effort, but we kept it simple. So we kept it simple in English language. We kept it simple in very few flights, local flights, same time zone, all sorts of little factors that made it something that would be possible for us to do. And I think the other thing that I would say, that as we've built upon that over the years, is that those relationships and that research keep being iterative and keep giving us the information that we need. For instance, I mentioned that 4 of our customers with COVID took us into 19 countries. Well, we understand what is the appetite for our product in different cultures. And so right now I would say that it's based on a consistency and tenacity to consistently check in with those relationships to see what's going on. We have been told in one of our markets that our product is set at 2050. And by the way, Renee, they will say, we are at 1970. So we've got some, we've got some distance to grow to get to being able to use your product. Those are invaluable conversations that take time, but if you do it consistently, it's very, very helpful. I hope I answered your question.
I think you did. We do have a question from the audience from Lenore, and this is to Aaron or Chelsea. She was asking, sorry, if you guide or help companies understand labeling and packaging regulations when exporting to international markets?
Yes, that is something that our advisors can help with and have helped other clients with before.
Okay, awesome. And we have a question from Kerry Lee who asks if, I think this is for the Trade Accelerator program, if there is any discount available for disabled women.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we do have bursaries available. So, and if you are a woman-owned business, then you would definitely qualify for a full bursary to participate. So that would just mean that it's free of cost.
Awesome, thank you for that. So Fatima, I was wondering if you could tell us how important is it to have an export plan?
An export plan is very, very important. So earlier when we were talking about the market research and choosing where to go, I had mentioned, thinking about the why behind you're going into that market. The export plan is really the how you're going to get there. So it's really important because it helps you take your kind of expansion idea and put it into an actual plan and strategy. And there's, a couple benefits of doing so. Number one, it helps you assess your company's readiness to actually expand into that market. It helps you strategize all of the little pieces behind what your expansion is going to look like. So in the program, in our program, what we do is we provide you with an export plan template. So you will talk about your current business, and then 70% of the plan is talking about what your export strategy is going to be. And so, we really get you to think about what is your market entry strategy? What are the logistics of your business going to look like? What is the legal and tax aspect of your business? So you get to actually strategize each and every component of your expansion plan. And then it also helps you plan internally as well. So your resources, what current resources do you have and what resources will you need to actually action out your plan? And then overall, I would say it's having an export plan. It helps you measure your results as well, right? So when you think about, I want to expand into the UK, and then you say, this is how I'm going to do it. Now you're able to use this plan to go back and say, this did or didn't work. And so we always say an export plan should be like a living document. It's never kind of one and done. As you continue to grow in markets, you're going to be going back to your plan and kind of adjusting as needed. So I think an export plan is really, really crucial. It's all about the how you're going to get into the new market.
Thank you for that. Chelsea, I was wondering if you could add to that. Did you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just like how you wouldn't really start a business without a business plan, I would say the same goes for exporting, right? You shouldn't really tackle exporting until you have a concrete export plan. And just to build off of what Fatima says, it is critical. I think it serves as a really great guidance piece. It holds you accountable. It also serves as a really good communication tool for the rest of your team, making sure that everybody's on the same page with your strategy. The way I've sort of looked at it is kind of like a SOP, a standard operating procedure sort of document. It is a living document, but anybody can pick it up at any time and see which direction, you want to go in towards exporting. And so I think, yeah, it definitely is a critical part. It definitely increases your chances of success and decreases your overall risks in exporting.
Thank you. So I have a question from Suki, and they mentioned that if they are thinking of exporting and have not yet started that, taking the first step on towards that journey, should they then, are they in a position to reach out to Fatima, Chelsea, and Aaron for support, or should they wait until a little bit, of the plan is cooked a little bit more before reaching out to you?
Maybe. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, they can definitely reach out to us. We can chat a little bit further and see if it's a good fit. Yeah, we do assist companies that are, again, like pre-revenue. So that's no problem.
For us, I would say if you're not exporting yet, that's totally fine. That's why we're here. So we do work with companies who are looking to start exporting, and but also look at companies that are currently exporting. So you don't have to all existingly be exporting, but in order for companies to fully take advantage of the program and the resources that we have available, we do like to see that they are a little bit established domestically. So a little bit past the startup phase. So they are, selling domestically, whether that's BC or if Canada, and then now looking to take the next step. So yeah, they're more than welcome to join us if they're not already exporting.
And Aaron, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, again, if they thought about, for us, the way we see it, if they've thought about exporting, and if they've actually dabbled, if you're a first-time exporter, it's quite likely that we'll have a chat and we'll refer you to other partners. But if you've already dabbled and you have a clear understanding of which markets you want to go after, then that's the perfect time for you to engage with us. If, again, going back to the same ideal profile of clients that we work with, if you're not in revenue, if you don't have loyal customers in any market, then you might be too early to engage with us, because we don't really help our clients build a product that's more about how do we ramp up your exposure, how do you ramp up your sales, your exposure to sales opportunities.
Awesome, thank you so much. And Veronica asks if one has to be an incorporated company, or can sole proprietorships also reach out to you?
Sole proprietorships are eligible for our program. Yes.
Same with us. Yeah.
Likewise.
Awesome, thank you. So Renee, I was wondering if I could come to you next and ask, is there a difference between selling services in the domestic market compared to the international market? And what is that one incredible marketing strategy that you suggest that we incorporate to succeed?
Yeah, so what we're selling is we're selling a tech-enabled service. So we have a high-touch, high-tech product. And your question about, is it different selling it in domestically or outside of our local network? For us, no. I think we talked about language barriers or language differences. The majority of knowledge workers, leaders, and teams that are in organization at the knowledge worker level are English speaking, so we haven't bumped into many difficulties with that. And I would say that as far as the strategy beyond traditional marketing strategies, which we can use digitally to get our word out all over, I'm going to just suggest that whole idea of being able to connect in and build relationships and make sure that you're really staying connected with the trade commissioner community or local networks that you have, wherever it is. And when I say local networks, I'm not talking about huge communities. I'm talking about one person that might be in Switzerland, but it's working at a great company, and you can have a conversation with them. Just to have the courage to pick up the phone or jump on Zoom regularly and just tap into some really casual conversations to explore. That to me is really, really critical, the tenacity of relationships and research.
Thank you. Thank you. And I do want to mention here that Aaron has to rush off a little bit early. So we've got another 5 minutes of him. If anybody had any questions specific for Aaron, please let us know in the chat and we'll ask him that. But before you go, Aaron, I was wondering if you could, tell us or talk to us about that one piece of advice or that one point that we should keep in mind, or that one risk that we should try and mitigate while we are starting our export journey or during our export journey.
Yeah, I actually have 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please send them my way. I'll stay until 10:55. There are a couple risks. I guess your question is more, it's about what kind of risks do entrepreneurs have and how do they mitigate those?
Sure.
One of them is certainly not being focused enough, which is a risk in and of itself. And by not being focused, I mean that you do not really know your markets by virtue of not having done enough research and maybe you might not have the time and resources to commit. And this could result in a waste of time and resources. I mean, some level of toe dipping is bound to happen at the outset, but after a certain point, you will have to do a lot of research and on your markets of interest and keep assessing the product market fit of your service. As Renee said, your product is, you're constantly molding your product, you're constantly molding your service offerings in relation to your markets of interest. So I think that reiterated process is always very important. And after that, you might want to make a firm decision not to pursue certain markets, although that might be difficult to do so. Another risk I want to bring to your attention is trademark infringement. And that's something that can often inflict quite a bit of damage on the future profitability of your business overseas. And protecting trademarks such as words, logos, slogans, packaging as well, by seeking formal registration in markets where you plan to do business that's very important. Making good use of registered trademark rights can give you a competitive advantage over others. And in the service industry, goodwill is such an important thing. So, I advise that you, just really look into. There are so many resources and avenues through which you can protect IP, and so I would implore businesses out there to look into that. One of the best ways to start that process is you can go to the website of the Canadian Intellectual Property Office, and they have a lot of great resources on what intellectual property is, what that consists of, like what there are so many different there are several categories of IP, and they kind of walk you through how you can protect those, what the process looks like, and there's great webinars as well. So I strongly encourage you to check that out.
Thanks so much. Actually, IP is something we generally don't even consider. Renee, you had something to add or ask?
Yeah, I also just want to put the shout out for the fact that we're Canadian. And I think it's really important for people to say, Canadians are great to do business with. That I find myself saying that all the time to prospects. So I'm wearing red and white today in honor of being Canadian and also being a women's owned business. I think those are two competitive factors that we often forget, and we really need to shout them out into the world.
Incredible thought there. Veronica, Veronica wanted the website of the intellectual properties thing that you were talking about, Aaron. I think we can send that in the follow-up mail that we circulate, so everybody has access to that. Fatima, I was wondering if you could tell us what is the difference between selling in the domestic market as against the international market, and what is that one marketing strategy that you recommend?
I think it's very different selling in domestic markets versus international. Oftentimes, companies will go in with the same way that they're doing business here, and they'll go in with the exact same strategy in a new market, and just to realize that it's not going to work the exact same way. So I think really strategizing for the market you're going into. And, you know, we talked about an expert plan earlier. Now your expert plan is going to change as you change your markets, because the way, let's say you expand into the UK versus the way you expand into Australia are going to be two very different strategies. So understanding that different markets have different needs, and your market entry strategy is going to change significantly depending on where you're going. And again, everything goes back to market research. So understanding, you know, what the right way to do business there is, you know, like, is it going to be B2B? Is it going to be B2C? And then in terms of a marketing strategy, I don't know if there's just one that's out there that's going to work for everybody. I think it's going to be different based on the market that you go into. But a point that Renee made earlier is it's really all about the connections. And so I would say that really take advantage of your local connections, because the export, kind of the trade network in Canada is a really, really good network. You know, we have Export Navigator, we have the Trade Commissioner Service, we have a lot of experts in this area. So take advantage of the local connections, because those are often going to be the same connections that you can leverage as you go into international markets. A lot of our local connections, whether that's the government and even private sector, they have offices in local markets that they're able to connect you. So I think that's one thing that's really important. So I wouldn't say there's one marketing strategy that's going to, you know, just do amazing and it's going to work for every business, but relationships is, I think, really important.
Thank you. And so one of the biggest challenges that exporters face is the time difference between time zones. So Renee, I was wondering if you had any advice on how you manage this.
Yeah, we've had some interesting conversations about that at Vivo Team. As I mentioned, we're in Halifax, Toronto, and British Columbia, exporting elsewhere. And I'm going to say two things. Number one, make sure you do the research with your team about their capacity to work in different time zones. And what that means is not just a 4-hour time zone. It means a 12-hour or an 18-hour time zone sometimes. And those are really important conversations to have before you make a promise to someone elsewhere. What we did during COVID was we completely turned our time zones to nighttime. And so our team was fully working in the night and resting in the day. What I did not consider at that time was asking people about their capacity to do so. And so one of the biggest things that we learned was it was the aftermath of the sprint. So for example, if we were delivering for a week and we were all working nights, it wasn't that week where we had the impact, it was the next week, because people were exhausted to make the flip back to our time zone. So again, have the right conversations before you make the promises, and just make sure that you've got the right people. And then I think as well for us, as Fatima was saying, each market's going to be different. So what we're doing is we can break our product in different manners, because we do cohorts. So we can have multiple cohorts running at different times to make sure that when our learners are over a vast time zone difference, we can also accommodate them. So that's really that action research of understanding what is it that's going to add value to that particular client and where they are and where their people are. Again, it's a little bit of juggling, but there's no reason that it can't be done. And it's going to be done even more and more now in the future. As we see digital nomads working all over the world, all of us have to be prepared to work with people all over the world.
Oh my God, that was cool. That is such an incredible thing. Aaron, you had something to add?
No, I just wanted to say I unfortunately have to leave. I have to make an earlier exit, but thank you for the invitation. Yeah, thank you, WeBC, for organizing this. I wish everyone the best, and I guess WeBC will, the staff from WeBC will share my contact, but I'd be more than happy to connect you to our two officers that specialize in consumer products and professional services. And please seek me out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Aaron. And with one of my eyes on the time, I was wondering if Fatima and Chelsea, was there any one super tip that you could leave our new exporters with?
I would say don't be worried about expanding. I know it's quite a scary thing, and it is. There is a lot of complexities with it, but I think don't be worried to expand and really take advantage of the resources, because there are a lot of resources that are available with support to small and medium-sized businesses, whether that's programs, funding opportunities, even just connections, right? So I would say really take advantage of the trade network in Canada and use that, because that's going to be really, really helpful in your export journey.
You took the words out of my mouth. But to add on to that, I think, yeah, definitely utilize the support system, but also come prepared yourself. Do that market research, make sure that you have a well-developed export plan. And again, you can use programs like Export Navigator and TAP and anybody else in your network to help with that along the way.
Thank you so much for this incredible for being here, for giving us this incredible information that will really benefit not just all the attendees, but even the people who registered, who we send the recording to. I did want to just let me share my screen, because there was something I wanted to. Can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to bring your notice to the next couple of sessions that we are having over the next few days. And the one that I wanted to bring your notice in particular to was the one on October 19th, which was for the imposter syndrome. That was something that resonated with me when I started my journey as an entrepreneur. I highly recommend you register on our website for our newsletter. We keep having sessions through the year, and you will be updated on all the sessions that we have when you read through our newsletter. Before you log off, Netta is going to start a poll. It's a very short poll. It is so that we know what other topics to cover in the future as well that will benefit you. Thank you so much, Fatima, Renee, and Chelsea. And Aaron, you're not here, but thank you so much for all the time and incredible information that you gave us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.